everyone, it's Jan, and I have an Easter card to share with you today. I love its rustic charm, but it also has a little bit of elegance to it, and it features the dogwood blossom that is a three-dimensional, very realistic looking flower that I made with the Susan's Garden little Sizzix set. She has a whole line of lots of different kinds of flowers. They're very realistic. Love working with these. And there's no better flower for an Easter card than the dogwood tree. I wanted to start with this one to kind of introduce you to her floral sets if you haven't seen them before, because it's actually a pretty simple one to put together. You get two blossom petals, you get two different sizes of leaves, and then you have that little stamen. I'm also going to show you the other tools and things that she has that making these flowers so easy. She has a thick foam pad that you use to shape them. You also get a little piece of craft, and then this is this leaf shaping pad. You get a pair of scissors, some tweezers that are great. Then you have these styluses, I guess you would call them. Some of them have balls, some of them are a loop. That little leafing tool lets you put the veins and that sort of thing into it. I think it's totally worth it because of the impact that it has. I'm going to use this Spellbinders embossing folder to emboss this basket weave. This is one of those deeply etched embossing folders. I love it. And I'm going to use a couple of sprays to stain it. I started with very thick cardstock, or I would recommend watercolor paper. I'm using Delusion spray and also Adirondack color. I believe it's espresso. I'm wanting to get it kind of dark and rich. And I'm going to show you, I did a lighter version as well. If you don't have these sprays, try using some watercolor or something like that. I just wanted a very dark background for this particular one, and I ran it through the embossing folder, sprayed it, then I put it back in and let it sit while I was working on some other things just to get it good and flat. Now, honestly, by the time I got around to working with it, it had gotten a little wavy again. So you see, I cut extra when I'm cutting for these flower sets. I always do a few extra and just put them away in that little envelope that comes with it. So we're going to start by working on the dogwood blossoms, and there's two of them and two different ones, and you need one of each kind for each flower. And I'm using the loop tool to just kind of break down the fibers, and then I pick one of the round ball styluses and just kind of smooth it out. You do both sides, and it's with these tools and this mat, it's just very easy to do the shaping. So if you end up really liking making these very realistic flowers, I would totally recommend getting both the tool set and the mat. You know, I don't tell you very often you got to have this exact thing, but I really think that this makes a huge difference in giving you the realistic look that Susan Garden line of product is known for. Okay, so I've shown you how we do the petals, and now this is going to be the stamen in the center, and so that it's not so tiny in making the cuts, you get this piece, and then you want to go in and split each of those 5 little prongs in half. So you end up getting 10, and you take one of your ball styluses and push it down into that mat, and it gives you your stamen. Now I'm doing the leaves, and for me they're a two-step. You kind of make the cup with the loop tool, and then you go back in with that leafing tool to put the vein into the leaves. For this particular card, I'm making 3 flowers, and I ended up, I think, with 5 or 6 different leaves as well. So when you get all of your blossoms and your leaves formed, then we want to go in and add that realistic shading that just makes them pop. And I'm using Pan Pastel. I'm starting with bright yellow green, and it is a very similar color to the cardstock that I used for the stamens. But if you actually get a chance to go look at a dogwood, you will see that the very inner portion of them is kind of a bright green, and this just adds that. So I'm using the edge of the tool and just adding some little streaks that go up the side. Now I'm going to also pull out this green shade of Pan Pastel, and what I'm wanting to do is just add some depth to the leaves. If you walked up to a tree, it would not be all one color. And so I'm just putting some lights and some greens, and working with the Pan Pastels is a great way to do that because they blend beautifully together. So now we want to add the markings that make the dogwood distinctive, and I'm going to use my Copic marker, but you could use any that was kind of a deep red or burgundy. And right where that notch is, I'm just going to lay my marker in there and let the ink stain and be drawn up into the paper. This little notched area with the red is where the legend of the dogwood comes from, and why it is usually associated with Easter is because tradition has that it was a dogwood tree that was used to make the cross of Christ, and that the dogwood, being saddened by that, has little red notches where the nails were in his hands and feet. So it's a very, very poignant reminder of what Easter is about, and a great reason for you to use dogwood if you're making an Easter card. Let me show you how easy it is to put these flowers together. I'm just going to put some Aleene's fast drying tacky glue out on my craft mat, and I take one of each kind of petal and just make a little crisscross of them, and we'll set those aside and let them dry while I go through and put the others together. I love this Aleene's tacky glue for this. It is amazing how quickly it really does grab. It dries clear, perfect for putting these flowers together. All of her flowers, she even recommends using that. Now we're going to add in the stamens. Just going to take those little pieces and notch them down in. Again, you see I'm using the tweezers out of the tool pack. Just, they really do help put it together. Now, to add a little bit of realism to the stamens, I'm using this Viva Decor paper pen, and I really like this product as opposed to a liquid pearl for this, because when you make a little ball with it, it actually retains that rounded shape, whereas sometimes with liquid pearls they flatten out, and for that you want there to be that little ball there on the end of the stamens. I'm showing you an up close, but I'm just touching that paint pen onto the, or paper pen it's called, onto the ends of those stamens. And it's a good green color for that. Okay, so let's start putting this card together. I'm making a standard A2 size card, but with a top portrait fold. I wanted it to be able to stand up. And I'm going to do the inside first, and I'm using a just piece of plastic that I have, packaging that I've die cut an egg out of. And I'm using some distress ink and just bringing a little color in around the edges. Makes it look like a dimensional egg. I have a whole video on doing Easter eggs, so how to make those realistic speckled eggs, you may want to go check that out. But I'm going to stamp my sentiment down there. I think just a very nice, simple inside of the card. When you have a kind of an elaborate card front, it's nice to make it a little more simple. And you will see that after a little time has gone by, my basket weave card front has gotten a little bumpy, so I've put a lot of extra red liner tape or score tape on it just to kind of help it hold nice and thick. And I used a Sizzix ornate frame to cut the this frame out of some book paper, and I love it, but I will tell you that if I did it again, I would attach the book paper to some cardstock. It ended up being a little fragile to work with. I just would have liked it better if I had put the book paper onto some cardstock and then cut it out. Popped it up just a little bit. Now here's how I do the tree branch, because the dogwood is a flowering tree. So I'm using some wire that I got in the floral section at Joann's, and I start with about 10 inches, and I think it looks nice and balanced if you have at least kind of a 2-branch configuration. And I want one to kind of come over to the side, and so I'm just going to turn the wire back on itself. And this is actually pretty easy to work with, but I particularly like this. It's got a little bit heavier gauge wire on the inside, and then it has these kind of multi-strand paper around the outside. It actually does kind of look like bark. It's pretty inexpensive, and getting a whole roll of it lasts a really long time. But there's several, in the Susan's Garden line, there are several, she's done several flowering trees. So I've used this for several different projects. So it was worth buying, I don't know, maybe a $4 or $5 roll of this covered wire to help with that realism. And I'm going to use hot glue to put that on, but everything else I'm going to use the Aleene's tacky, fast drying tacky glue. And I'm going to start by placing my blossoms. And I kind of like this one that is going outside the frame a little bit. And then I'm going to add one up near the top. And you can see how quickly you can actually just leave those in place. Now this one is going to take me a little bit more of an effort because I was trying to put it on at an angle where there wasn't as much of the tree branch for it to grab hold of, but still very, very simple. Now I'm going to put glue on both sides of these leaves and tuck them in. So they will, the glue that's on the bottom will touch the branch, the glue that's on the top will help hold them next to the blossom. So by putting glue on top and bottom, you just get a little better adhesion. And I'm just kind of looking for visually pleasing. They each needed a leaf, and then I'm taking a couple of the smaller leaves just to kind of fill in. And I felt like we needed a little branch, a little leaf coming into that center as well. But look how realistic that card looks. I love these blossoms. I've used them for altered book projects. I've used them for an altered box. I've used them on a canvas. I love her flowers, and they're easy to make. I think that you can get some really good results every time with them. I hope that you will try making this dogwood, even if you're not doing it for a Easter card. I think you'll have fun making these dimensional flowers, and let me know how they turn out for you. I actually have a couple others of her sets, and the ones I'm showing you here are the peony and violet, and then I think there is so with this set you actually can make violets, or you can make the pansies, I'm sorry, and this is the flowering quince, which is another one of those trees, and then this is the forsythia. So I thought I'd show these to you, and if you are interested in me doing a tutorial on any of these, leave me a message down below, and I will work on getting you a tutorial done for that, because I just think they're fun and make great projects, even if you're not wanting to do them for cards. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you are not already a subscriber, please subscribe to my channel. That's the best way for you to find out when I have a new video to share with you. And I would also invite you to follow me on Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, and Twitter. I put those links down below. It is a place that I kind of will let you see what I'm in process on and get feedback on what you'd like to see. I also like following you back and seeing what you're working on as well. I hope you have a great week and that you are enjoying the Easter season. I will be back with another video real soon. In the meantime, be sure and save some time for creative play.